Welcome. In this demo, I'm going to show you how to use the Visual Builder from start to finish. So let's get started. Also, keep in mind, in addition to this demo I'm about to do for you, you can also try out the Interactive Visual Builder Tour link, which is right here. All right, let's get started. So let's find a page that I want to use the Visual Builder on. We'll go to my Site Pages. I'll click Edit Site Pages, and this will show all the pages I have available on my account. So if you just signed up, it will show a bunch of different pages, and I'm just going to click on the Edit with Visual Builder button. Okay, here we are. So you might have a more complex version of a page, but for this demo, I'm going to start kind of from a very basic level. In a Visual Builder, there are basically three things to keep in mind. There's the section, which is this blue thing right here, which kind of wraps around all this content. And then there are the rows, which are in green right here. And then within each row, there's a module. So for instance, this is a 2-column row. You can look at the columns by right here, and you can see those are the columns. And in each column, I've got a module. And in this instance, there's a text module, which is in gray. And in this instance, there is an image module. I can add a new module or a new row or a new section by hovering and clicking on one of these areas and then looking for the plus sign. So this plus sign would give me a new section. This plus sign over here, the green one, would give me a new row. And this plus sign on a module would give me a new module. So let's work this way. Let's go and add a new section. Now you'll notice there's three types of sections. There's a full width section, a regular section, and a specialty section. I'm just going to start with the regular section. Then each section needs a row. So I am going to look at the different columns that are available to me. So I could go have a 6-column row or a 2-column row. I'm just going to choose a 2-column row. And then after you add a row, you need to have modules in each of the little areas. So there's a lot of different types of modules to choose from. There's an accordion, there's an audio clip, you could have a call to action module, you could have a contact form, a email opt-in, a gallery of images, maps. There are so many different modules for you to explore, but this is where you would add one of those modules. And another little shortcut is right here. You don't have to always look through all the modules. If you know what you want, for instance, if I want a text module, which is the very simplest module, I could just type in the word TEX and then it brings up text. So let's start with the text. Okay, so here's our text. It's already got some dummy content in it right here. Let me close this because it's bringing up the settings for this text module. On all the different modules or rows or sections, you can access specific settings for that individual section, row, or module by clicking on that little gear button. Additionally, you can drag around these modules or rows by clicking on that crosshair and dragging it to different locations. For instance, I could drag this whole row and everything inside it to up here. And then I could bring it back. You'll also notice that you can clone a row, a section, or a module, which makes it really quick if you have a bunch of design styles already within one of these items. And of course, you can delete one of these modules or rows or sections. And you can also copy modules to different locations this way by going click copy module and then pasting module right here. So a lot of little speed techniques you can use. So let's dig into the settings for a module. I'm going to click on the little gear here, and you'll notice it brings us right up to the text. I can edit this text right here. So let's look. I am editing text. I can use HTML within this little text box, or I can also use the visual builder that kind of pre-makes some of my HTML for additional styling and for SEO techniques. For instance, heading, knowing how to properly use headers and regular paragraph text can help your SEO, and we will go over that in another video. But say we have all these little things right here, and you want to make some bullet points. You can do all that type of word processing right here in this visual editor. You'll also notice in some instances you can actually click on the screen as well. But to get more detailed editing control, you'll want to use the settings for the module. So to save anything, you click that green box. Let's do that again. We'll click on the module. That's to save. That's to cancel all the changes. And let's go through this a little bit deeper. There's a lot of similarities in how each module works in terms of its settings. Every module has background, an area to do background adjustments. So instance, I can create background color right there, blue, or I can click on this little gear and change it to whatever color I want. And additionally, I can adjust the transparency right here. So you can make a lot of different layered effects. You can also use gradients. Right here are different gradients you could create and have a lot of control over the direction of this gradient. So when you slide that, the starting point, the type of gradient, either linear, so that's in a straight way, or circular. Or you could add an image to the background and make that your background. Or even a video. Link. So let's dive back here. I can make any one of these words a link right here with that little link button. But what if I want to make this whole box a link? Well, I can do that right here and add the link. What's also interesting is there's a lot of more advanced techniques. For instance, say I could create a link that goes to another website, but say it's an internal page I want to link to. Right here, I can click on this, go to different page links, and then it will show me the available pages within my system, and then I'll be able to select whatever page that already exists on my site. So you can do that right there. What else can I show you here? Let's look at some of the other basic things. So if you go up here, here's some more styling techniques. Let me delete this. And let's go right here. So for instance, I've got this as like a kind of like a light purple. I can change that styling when it's in mobile. So for instance, I click on this, and then right now it's that color, but if I switch it to, say, phone, maybe I don't want that color. Maybe I want it to be in yellow for this example. I don't know why you'd want to do that. So now I've got two choices. I've got it in desktop, it's purple. When it goes to phone, it's yellow. So now we can kind of test that. We go over here, open up our options, click on mobile, and then that turns to yellow. That basic technique can be used for anything. You'll notice that on most of the settings, you have that option of having that little responsive design right there. And then that way you can change and customize things for different viewable environments. For instance, on mobile, maybe you want the text smaller and you want the spacing smaller so you can fit more on the page. This is where you can make those changes to anything. So let's go over what this little arrow means. This is the hover state. So let me get off there. So we've got some text here, but say when I hover and put my cursor over it, say I want it to be showing something else. So I go to hover, and then I can set it to something else. And then I can go to my background and also do a hover. And then something else will be, let's say, red. Or let's make it yellow. And then let's save that. So now when we hover, we can't see it in the visual builder, but we'll save it and kind of test and see what it looks like. So let's see here. And there it is. See how the content changes when I hover over it and the color? You can do that with anything in the system almost. So let's explore some different areas and settings that you can use. Let's go to the design. Let's start with text. Again, these hover and these different settings for the different sizes of screens can all be controlled right here. So in this scenario, you would want to use it for, say, text size. I can adjust the text size right here. And in mobile, I could make that text size be smaller. This is how you get professional results. Additionally, I could lower the line height and stuff like that. A lot of different changes you can make. I could add a shadow. I can align the text. I could use the default light or dark type texting, or I can specifically control the text to be a certain color. So a lot of ways to make changes, and you can explore these things a little bit further, but this would get you started, as these controls are basically the same for every single module. Another nice technique is like, say you don't know what settings to use or how to make adjustments. For instance, you might have text and headers at the same time. So let's go back to our content. Let's go to our text. Let's delete all this. Let's first make a heading. We'll highlight that. Oh, and we'll make a new line. We'll say this is the body text. We'll highlight this and go to paragraph and change that to heading. And then keep this as body text. Let's remove that. We'll also undo this stuff for now. The little circular arrow is the undo. We'll turn that off. So here we go. This is not showing because this is probably white. So, or let's go back to our text and we'll make the text color dark. There it is. Okay. So now say we want to edit something that's a header. With this settings open, you can hover over here and get direct access to the settings for that heading text. So then I can change the fonts and make specific changes to the heading text. Lots of options to choose from here. Now, say I like those changes and I want to apply them to over here. Let me make a header right here so you can see it. This is my new header. Let's copy those styles. Copy module styles. Paste module styles. Now I've copied all that styling and things can line up. And of course, anytime when I make these changes, if I want to save them, there's this little purple button at the bottom. I open it up and click save. So those are the basics that will get you around using the Visual Builder. Let's go over some different types of sections. So let me delete this. And I'm going to add a new section. And I'm going to make a specialty section. Now if you'll notice, it immediately brings you into these different types of columns. So right here is like one big long column, the orange, that I can put stuff in, modules in. And right here I can add different rows. So let's play around with this split look here. And if you'll notice, this side I can add more rows with up to 3 columns. So we'll just put images in here for now. And I'll copy this image, put it in here. And then let's do one more so you can see what's going on. And then right here, maybe I want to have a really long image. So for this example, there's a bigger image. And then as you can see, this is one big column, and then this is 3 little small columns. And then you can mix and match different things. To get a very organized yet customized look. Let me go over some of the other modules too that you might want to use. Let me delete this. Let's delete this. And we'll just add a new module. Buttons. Buttons are probably something very common that you will use. So let's look at the button. That is a very basic button, but we could customize it. So here's where the link is for that button. The text of the button. Click me now. And then let's go over some of the design. So you've got your basic alignment. So this is how it aligns in the column. If you want it centered, left, right. Let's go back to left. You've got your text. We'll keep it at the default. You've got your spacing. So say you want more space in between the words and the edge of the button. You can increase the padding. Just like that. We could add a shadow to this button so it pops a little bit more. And then we can customize the styles even further by giving the button a background color. So let's make it a red button with white text. Let's increase the font size. Let's change the border to be red. And then let's add a little hover effect so that when somebody hovers over this button, the border changes to white so that it kind of pops a little bit more. We can change the border radius. Right now it's 0, so that's why it's square. Now we've got a rounded button. And we can change the font to anything. Change the font weight. Add various icons. So when they hover, see that little icon right there? You can customize the color of that icon. So now it's yellow. Make it show on the left or the right. We could add text. We could add shadow text to this lettering, and obviously we can control that shadow as much as we want. So there is a lot that you can do. You could even take things further and skew things a little bit to make them pop up. But that's a more advanced technique. So let's reset that. And let's just see what this looks like. Save it. Let's reload this page. And as you can see, the border occurs when I hover over it, and that little lock shows up. So that's a very rudimentary button. Let's go back to our visual editor. Let's change this to, well, here's some other ways. Now say we really like that button right there. We could copy it, move it over here, and we could change the lettering if we wanted to. There you go. Another way to get that button is we could create a new button And then we could go here to the three dots, copy module styles, and then paste those module styles in. And now we have the same style of button. So that way we can kind of keep things consistent when we're doing these advanced designs. Speaking of advanced designs, there's a way to really jumpstart your designs, and that is with the layouts. So let me show you how to load in a layout from the library. Right here in this little purple area, you can expand for more options. Oh, one other thing I want to show you is this tracks all the changes you're making for this session. So if I wanted to undo anything, I can move back and it will show all the changes I've made. So that can be sometimes handy when you make a mistake. But anyways, let's go here and load a pre-made layout. So there's quite a bit of layouts already available to you. And you might have started with a specific layout, but you can actually use any of these layouts at any time. So let's look at, say, this risk management layout. Now, I don't have a risk management company, but maybe I like the look and feel of it. So I can go here, and I'll click on the home, contact page. That looks nice. A lot of nice little things. So I will not replace my content, but I will use this layout. And the reason being is that I'm going to copy and steal some styling from this layout and put it into mine. So here's my existing stuff, and here's the new layout. Now I could just use this directly, but say I've got some text already that I want to use, so I can just simply drag this text over here. And there's the text, but say there's specific styling on that text, I can copy module styles and then paste module styles, and now I've copied the same type of spacing, and then I could just delete that text. That's one way to use it. The other way to use it is to drag elements of this layout you just used into your existing design. So I could take this, drag it up right in there, and then there's that nice little icon. And let's open the settings for this. This is a blurb, and it's using a special technique to round the edges and make it look like a button. And if I wanted it to be a button, I could take it a little bit further by going to the link for the module and adding a link to Google, for instance, in this situation. And now I've got a little button, but it's not very interactive, so let's make it interactive. Let's go back to the settings, and I'll do some hover techniques. So let's look and see what they're doing here. It looks like they've got a blue. So why don't I change that to a red when I hover over it? So I'm going to go to the arrow button, go to my hover settings, go to this part of the gradient, make this reddish, and make this light bluish. Oh, actually, no, I want to make it light reddish. What am I doing? We'll make it orangish. That looks cool. Let's do one other thing. It looks like there's a little bit of a drop shadow. Let's go to the design. And it looks like they're using that as a shadow. So one thing I could do is when I hover, why don't I make that shadow yellow? Okay, did I do that right? Or did I just completely remove the shadow? You know what? Let's undo that change. There we go. Let's go back to here. Make sure I didn't mess up my hover technique. Nope, that's good. Let's go to my design. Let's go that shadow again. And let's add a hover. So we've got our desktop, and then we'll go there to the hover state. There we go. desktop, hover. Cool. Now we save it. Reload this page. Now we've got a cool button, and when I hover over it, it highlights, and then it can click to Google. So that is one way to make some advanced buttons using these pre-made layouts and then the Visual Builder. Let's go over the Visual Builder settings a little bit more. Anytime you want to save, just open it up, click Save. You can test things in mobile responsive types of views. You can zoom out and kind of get a basic overview of your site with this little button right here, the magnifying glass. Say you've got some overlapping things, we can switch from this visual view to this module view that kind of shows all the modules and how they line up, and you can even drag and move things around if you want. And sometimes this is helpful if you've got some overlapping designs where you can't really reach certain controls in a visual environment. One other thing to keep in mind is that everything is fluid and flexible here. So we've got a yellow theme here. Say we didn't like that yellow theme and we wanted to blend it with another color. So let's do an overlay. And then let's change this to, oops, let's go back here. Let's go screen. Oops, why isn't that blending? Oh, that's there. That takes precedence. There we go. So now we gave it a red type of look. That looks pretty cool. So as you can see, there's a lot of different things you can do with the Visual Builder. You'll really need to explore the different modules and buttons and different effects and features that we have available for you. And again, if you get lost or you're having trouble, feel free to reach out to support. Another also cool thing is if you want to do a little interactive tutorial at any time, you can click that little edit button and activate the interactive tutorial, and then that will kick in and again kind of show you all the things I just showed you in this video, except you get to interact. All right, so hopefully the power of the Visual Builder is very clear and you guys get to start using it. All right, thanks for watching.